Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Run It Back, the show where we try to get things right the second time. In today's episode, we're going to be going over a traditional draft done by myself just the other day. And as you can tell, we went 3-0 with it. I was really happy with that. After the draft portion had finished, I was not too thrilled with how things had went. I did not think that we had a cohesive strategy too much. And it was just a pile of cards. But we'll go ahead and dive into the draft now. Taking a look at Pack 1, Pick 1, we've got quite a few cards I'm pretty happy with. In the uncommon slot, we've got Brood Spinner, Razorkin, Horde Collar, and Unnerving Grasp. These are all great value cards that can also either be aggressive or tempo-oriented. This thing has great value in the late game. And then looking at common slot, I'm happy to have Fear of Surveillance. Even Ragged Playmate's not bad. Say Its Name has really been growing on me, and Glimmer Light is a functional card. You've got a couple dual lands here, which I don't think I want to take too early, but really it's between these three uncommons. I took the Brood Spinner mainly just because I hadn't played as much with it. I'd just come off quite a few drafts with Razorkin Horde Collar, and then Unnerving Grasp plays really well, specifically in blue-green, but I haven't enjoyed it as much in things like blue-white or blue-red. Those things just don't care for Unnerving Grasp. So in my opinion, this is a gold card. You pretty much need to be in blue-green with it as it is. It's a good value card. Otherwise, if I'm in other colors, I will be taking this. But if I'm first picking it, I really want to be in that blue-green color. I think if you have a green card like this, you're more likely to take other green cards, which should end up splashing anything else. So even though this is a black-green card, I do think that opens us up to other splashes as we need it. Pack 1, Pick 2, we did see a Phantasmal Image. I don't think this card is particularly strong in Limited here. This is more of a constructed plant. We see an Exercise, very good. Fear of Burning Alive, Fear of Exposure, Oblivious Bookworm, all great cards. A couple of Cyclers, which I don't mind, just not want taking too early. And taking a look at the pack overall, I think the Bookworm is strictly more powerful than just about everything else in the pack. You could get me on really any of these cards. Maybe it should have been Fear of Exposure because we were already in green, but like I said, this really opens us up to either being green, black, splash, blue, or green, blue, splash, black, and both of those would play well in both of these items. Pack 1, Pick 3, we do see a blue-black dual land, which I had considered if we really wanted to play all three colors, but we've also got a Withering Torment, a Murder here, a Manifest Dread, all great cards. I do see things like Grant Entry and Shrewd Storyteller. I'm happy to take both those cards. I'm pretty off of white in this moment. I don't really want to be playing white when I have both of these other cards, so I'm thinking I want one of these removal spells. Between the two, and Murder has 2 pips. Withering Torment costs 2 life, but is a single pip and can remove an enchantment. That's not unreasonable to think about. This Manifest Dread is going to be great with the Bookworm. Also puts 2 types usually in the yard for the Brood Spinner, but this is a common. I feel like we can get more of those later. This uncommon removal spell, very powerful. Pack 1, Pick 4, we see a House Cartographer. Happy to have this one. Love this card. It's so easy to tap. You play it on 2, attack on 3. You end up getting in for quite a bit and also getting that land out of it. The rest of the pack, not great for our colors. We do see a Painter Studio Interface Calorie. This is incredible. Patch Plaything, also incredible. Emerge from the Cocoon, good in its right shell. 4 mana, 4/4, also reasonable, but nothing great. We do have a Murder, but like we just mentioned, I really want to be more focused on green if I want to be playing all 3 of my colors. Double pips in black is tough to come by. Pack 1, Pick 5, we see a Spineseeker Centipede. We also have another Grand Entryway here, a Dashing Bloodsucker. I've been coming more and more up on Saw. I don't think I really want to take it in this sort of style, but if you're in like a white-black or a white-red strategy, Saw can certainly be great. Wary Watchdog also plays well, but we've got 3 2-drops as it sits, and I don't think I need to prioritize this as much as I want to prioritize my fixing. Last thing to talk about is this Lakeside Shack, and at this point I have 1 single blue card, and is it worth splashing on its own? Probably not. The Spineseeker Centipede allows me to open up red cards or white cards that I want to be playing, and I'm going to grab that one now. Pack 1, Pick 6, we get a Peer Past the Veil, which I think this is one of the most slept on cards in the format. Delirium is so easy in this format that being able to Peer Past the Veil for X equals 4 or greater is very simple. This is a really good way to pitch a reanimation spell or a reanimation card if you need it. Also, just filling up your hand late in the game. This is one of the exact cards that I want to be drawing later in the game. So glad we took the Spineseeker Centipede. Happy to see a Peer Past the Veil. Really want to splash this card now. Pack 1 pick 7, we do see a Watchdog. We also see a Pyroclasm. Those are pretty much the two cards I'm into. But with Pure Past the Veil being, really one single red pip, I don't want to delve too deep into red unless it's wide open. And we'll see that over the course of the next couple picks, whether that's the case or not. Where a Watchdog usually would put a creature in the yard because it is a creature itself, but then also can bin a land or something like that. Happy to get that into a Delirium style shell. Pack 1 pick 8, we see a Rootwise Survivor, which on its face looks really, really good, but more and more I've played this, it just doesn't necessarily always survive combat, and the 3/3 body it makes can be really tough to do. Now, 5 mana, 3/4 haste is good, and then also leaving by a 3/3 if you can is really good. This card can win you games, but I've just been less and less interested in playing this card overall. Say Its Name was one I started low on. I didn't think it was very good, but being able to return a creature or land that's already in the graveyard that you did not mill over is very good. Also, getting them late in pack 1 means that you might be able to spike off 3 of them and an Altanac, so that way you can end up using the second clause. I would never really consider that early on, but late in pack 1, I'm happy to take this just as a random regrowth that might have value later. Pack 1 pick 9, not really thrilled with any of this stuff. You could take a Malevolent Chandelier. I usually don't like playing this card if necessary. You could also take a Peculiar Lighthouse, because if we're going to splash this blue card and this red card, this taps for either of those, so that's good, but it doesn't allow it to be fetched up with the Centipede, so I don't know how much I really want to be doing that here. Anthropod is good for the sideboard, and the rest of the cards are just fine as it is. Pack 1 pick 10, like I mentioned, I'm off these white cards. We could have taken this Black Cycler. I took the Inside Out just because, we're seeing more and more red cards come through. I liked this Ragged Playmate because it's an artifact for 2 types for Pure Past the Veil. And I thought, you know what, maybe we should be in some sort of red-green, maybe black, Jund Delirium style. Not really thrilled with any of these cards. We took the Horde Vigor because it's the most playable in my opinion. A Boiler builds Ripper, I guess, into another Turn Inside Out, into another Ripper. So late in pack 1, we saw a lot of red cards come around. We're going to see how that pans out in pack 2. Moving on to pack 2, pick 1, we do see this Defiled Crypt, which I think is incredible. The Cadaver Lab being just a straight raise dead is very good, and then the Defiled Crypt getting you that 2/2 while you're kind of, quote, doing nothing but getting something back from your hand. Also very good. Plays really well with Say Its Name, and if we ever end up getting the other 3 mana one with a Manifest Dread to return something from the yard, that's another great one. If we really wanted to move back into blue-green, this Growing Dread looks very good. We also have this Glassworks over at Common. Those are all fantastic cards to be seeing. Pack 2, pick 2, we see an Insidious Fungus. I think this card is the best 1-drop in the format. I really want to be taking it early and often. Happy to see this one here. We do have a Cycler, which hopefully we can wheel a Murder if we want to get back into the full 3 colors. And then also Trapped in the Screen, but I don't think we're going to be taking that in this draft. Pack 2, pick 3, we did see a Razorkin Hordecaller. We also saw this Sawblade Skin Ripper, and I really wanted to consider, should we be taking a Sawblade Skin Ripper, because it's a very powerful card. We do have these 2 Boiler Build Rippers, but I don't think I want to be playing the Rippers too much. If I have to run one, I think that's fine. But the other things that I'm going to be sacrificing, my Watchdog, my Cartographer, my Spineseeker Centipede, I don't want to be sacrificing these things. So I didn't really have a whole lot of fodder for this. We could pick some up later. Maybe the Sphere of Lost Teeth comes back to us or something like that. But the Razorkin Hordecaller is good in every deck. I knew I was going to be playing it. Really happy to replace one of my Rippers for this Razorkin Hordecaller. Pack 2, pick 4. We did see another Oblivious Bookworm. I think the ship has sailed on blue-green for us, even though we did also see the Growing Dread over here. This was a route we could have gone down. I like the route we did. Obviously, it played out well for us, but you could say, hey, there's enough here for a blue-green deck. We did see a Murder. We see a second Say Its Name. Those are both great cards. It's really funny because I look at Commune with Evil, and I don't really like this card, but I look at Say Its Name, and I do like this card. You're essentially putting 2 cards in the bin, getting a card into your hand. This one gets you an extra card and an extra life, but it costs an extra mana. I don't really know. Maybe this card is good. Maybe I'm just low on it, but I've been low on Commune with Evil. Murder, just fine. I think this kind of suggests that we really want to be playing these black cards. Don't love the double black pips, but if we've got enough fixing, it should be just fine. Pack 2, pick 5. A Nowhere to Run this late? Incredible. Really, I would love a Manifest Dread. I'd also love a Razortrap Gorger, but I'm not turning down this card. This one is great to sacrifice if you ever have things to sacrifice to. Also, just a 2 mana, -3/-3 at instant speed is incredible. Pack 2, pick 6, a threats around every corner. Now, this was something I could get pretty much behind because I've got the 2-turn inside outs, and then also fixes on its own, right? So a 2-2 body, kind of like a Solemn Simulacrum, essentially goes and fetches out a land for you, and then God forbid you ever happen to be manifesting anything else, then you end up getting an additional land. So really happy to see threats around every corner. Pack 2, pick 7, we did see a Miasma Demon. We've also got a Cryptid Inspector, which has been raising in the ranks for me, and a bunch of just sort of fillery cards. Don't love any of these. Tunnel Surveyor is probably the best, but we're not playing that. Pack 2, pick 8, we did pick up a Pyroclasm. I don't think it's as strong as the first time we saw it, but I think we were much more in red, and so having access to an effect like this can be very, very powerful. Pack 2, pick 9, we see either a 4-mana 4/4 or another Wary Watchdog. I think we're heavy on the Delirium plan, so give me another Wary Watchdog. I know it doesn't play as well with the Pyroclasm we just drew or drafted, but you know, you're not going to always be playing both of them at the same time, and if you have to end up wiping out 4 of your opponent's creatures and 1 of your own Watchdogs, so be it. Pack 2, pick 10, we saw another Murderer, and I'm never going to turn something like that down. I know it's double pipped, and I know we're sort of in this heavy 3-color style, but I'm not turning down a 10th pick Murder. We do see a Friendly Teddy. I likely wasn't going to play this, but I pick it over the other 2 because 1, we can cast it if we're going to be full 3 colors, and we don't have those colors. 2, it is 2 types for the graveyard. Another Say Its Name late in Pack 2 means that we've got the Dream of Eltenak still alive. We've got a Bear Trap here for typing, and then, of course, a Clammy Prowler. Pack 3, pick 1, we opened a huge bomb in Valgavoth's Onslaught. It's a little shame that we have to go buy 2 Betrayer's Bargains and Under the Skin in order to get it, but, you know, this might be the single best card in the set. It is such a beating when it comes down. Most of the time, you're going to want to be casting this for about 5 or 7 mana to get 2 4/4s or 3 5/5s, and that's almost always going to win the game. So happy to see this. This is my first one. I've only ever played it this one time, and it was incredible. Pack 3, pick 2. We looked at this Killer Mask. Lots of good black and green cards still around. We've got this Spineseeker Centipede and Winter's Intervention, but taking a look at the deck, the biggest problem is the mana. The Strangled Cemetery is exactly what we need. We can pick up power like these things in a little bit if we still feel like we need it. Pack 3, pick 3. 2 Land Line of the Voids. Wow, holy cow. Never taken those in draft. Vile Mutilator is one of the best top ends at Uncommon. I know you have to sacrifice a creature or an enchantment for it, but usually we'd end up being able to have something like Nowhere to Run, a Wary Watchdog, maybe the Centipede. These are all cards that we can have on the battlefield just sort of hanging around, which means that this Vile Mutilator at 7 mana should be pretty great. We can also buy it back with both Say Its Names and then also the Defiled Crypt and Cadaver Lab. So if we happen to be flipping it over, this card it played out exactly as expected in this draft. It was the top end that we needed. It helped stabilize the board if we needed that. Everything was great there. Pack 3, pick 4, we see a Cynical Loner, which is great in the white-black deck. It's just a 3/1 in pretty much every other deck as well. Cathartic Parting, a phenomenal removal spell, which also lets you buy back cards that you might have pitched in the yard for Manifest Dread. But we saw another on-color dual land, and I'm usually not going to be passing that up this late when we've got 3 full colors in the deck. Pack 3, pick 5, we've got a Fear of Burning Alive, which again, even though it's double pipped on 6 mana makes me feel a lot more comfortable about it, especially with some of the duels that we have and the Centipede here. This was another great one to be buying back, right? Like once you have Delirium, this is 4 to the face and a kill spell. If you happen to have any other random pings or damage dealt to your opponent, it can also start pinging those things off. This is a good one to get back consistently. Not really thrilled with much here. Final Vengeance is the best card for us, but we don't have a whole lot we want to be sacrificing. No red cards in the pack, so we just kind of took this rare because it was a rare and worth 20 gems. Pack 3, pick 7. I looked at this one as well, thinking, maybe I should take that one for 20 gems. I also looked at Violent Urge, but didn't think that we were going to be aggressive enough with enough trample to make this thing work for us. Popular Egotist is good, but like I mentioned, it didn't have too much to sacrifice, so we took this Innocuous Rat, and maybe if we end up, playing it, it works with the Manifest Dread style of things. It can block early, but likely we're going to end up on the Wary Watchdogs as our early threats. Pack 3, pick 8, we pick up a Cycler. I think this ended up getting cut, but I like to take it early here. I'm not playing this Resurrected Cultist, and everything else is not in our colors. Pack 3, pick 9, we get our Strangled Cemetery on the wheel, and even though we've also got things like a removal spell and a Commune with Evil, I'm taking this every time. We do end up picking up a Disturbing Mirth, thinking that maybe we can play that along with something like this Innocuous Rat and some of those other cards. We've got a Murky Sewer, Intruding Soul Rager, an Abandoned Campground, and taking a look at the deck. As you can see, we didn't have too many things in the sideboard still. Both these Rippers ended up being here. We kept the Pyroclasm in the sideboard mainly because most of our 2-drops, things like this Wary Watchdog, our Insidious Fungus at 1, the Cartographer, the Playmate, and the Rat, all which made it into the deck, these all would end up dying. If we don't have Delirium, this also dies to Pyroclasm, so I wasn't too thrilled with having that early. We also have our Valgavoth's Onslaught, which can end up getting some manifest tokens out there, and so in general, Pyroclasm not really good for this deck. But on the flip side, I loved having access to it in the sideboard because sometimes your opponent is just going to curve out into their Boros threats over and over and over again, and so if you can get 4 for 2 or whatever it is on our side, that can really get you into your late game. I was really thrilled with all 4 of our huge targets here in the Horde Caller being able to end up just generating 1/1s, which is really good. This Fear of Burning Alive, like I mentioned, 4 to the face and a removal spell. Miasma Demon able to discard a bunch of things in order to clear out those X2s. Felt like a main deck Pyroclasm, but also this is a really good thing to be manifesting Dread into. Getting a 5/4 flyer, maybe with some 1/1 counters on it, was huge. And then Vile Mutilator, like I mentioned, making opponent sacrifice a non-token enchantment, sacrificing a non-token creature. That just really stabilizes a lot of the board. Down here, we've got kill spells all over the place, 3 regrowth abilities or raise dead abilities. We've got some fixing here, and of course some huge bombs in both Peer Past the Veil and Valgavoth's Onslaught. So overall, the deck was sweet. It played really well. It was a sweet value engine that just kind of happened to work out. The mana felt pretty good. We've got the 3 doubles plus also a Say Its Name to get back a color we don't have. A Spineseeker Centipede and a House Cartographer can really keep the lands coming. So really happy with this. I know it's kind of a just sort of merpy, no real major synergies, but value in Jund is definitely here. If you'd like to have your deck reviewed on Run It Back, please feel free to send me an email at runitbackmtg@gmail.com or send me a message in Discord with the 17 lands or untapped GG draft logs. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.